A parallel world, commonly known as another dimension, may seem as a science fiction concept, but there are many theories in reality, which proves their existence. We are not going to discuss those theories in this video, but instead of that, we are going to talk about some chilling stories, in which people had actually experienced these other dimensions. This is Daily Dope, and you're watching 5 Chilling Experiences from Parallel Universes. On a normal day in 1954, a man allegedly flew into Tokyo, and landed at the Tokyo International Airport. But his trip took a drastic turn from there. When he handed over his passport to be stamped, the man was immediately interrogated about his whereabouts. While his passport looked authentic, it listed a country called Tured, which never existed. The mystery man claimed that his country was located between France and Spain, and pointed towards the Principality of Andorra, but insisted that he never heard about Andorra, and that Tured had existed for 1,000 years. He claimed that he was in Japan for business, which he did for past 5 years. His passport backed up his story, as it was covered in previous customs and visa stamps, and he carried with him legal currencies. He even had a driving license, issued by the mysterious country, and checkbooks from unknown banks. Until further decisions were reached, he was told to stay in a hotel, where 2 officers stood outside his door. What happened next was extremely chilling. The mystery man disappeared, without any trace. The only possible exit to the room was a small window. But as the room was 15 stories above a busy street, this looked impossible. Tokyo Police Department conducted an extensive search, but was unable to find the mystery man. Till this date, this story remains unsolved, and the mystery man was never found. The Montauk Project was a top-secret government experiment, which aimed at making ships invisible to radar detection. The experiment, which was conducted in 1943, supposedly teleported a ship into a parallel dimension. The ship eventually reappeared, but was miles away from its initial position. The funding for this experiment was stopped, as rumors among the crew members going crazy began spreading. Some said that they traveled back and forth in time, others remembered being stuck between non-existent materials. According to the theories of Dr. John von Neumann, who is the head of the Montauk Project, humans are born with a reference point in time, linked with Earth's electromagnetic field. He purportedly fixed this issue by creating computer-simulated parallel worlds that were able to alter the body's inner time reference point. It was due to this that people were successfully transported to other worlds without drastic consequences. However, when Congress got wind of the project, funding was stopped over fears of mass mind control. The Markawasi Stone Forest boasts its naturally formed sculptures that takes the forms of human faces. But this is not the only mystery about the forest. The real mystery is a possibility of an interdimensional doorway, which exists inside the forest. We have taken into account the case of Dr. Centeno, who tells about one of his patients, whose one side of the body was paralyzed. Upon asking how she went through it, she revealed that while camping in the stone forest one evening, she and her friends went out exploring, and came across a stone cabin, which was lit by torches. Strangely, the structure was filled with people dancing, in 17th century clothing. She was attracted to the idea of further investigation, but her frightened friends managed to pull her away. However, she had entered the cabin halfway, and now, that side of her body was paralyzed. Centeno never found a medical cause for the paralysis, but believes that the woman's nervous system was disrupted by a dimensional shift over that half of her body. Many natives and scholars believe the strange tales of doorways to other worlds in the stone forest, which the woman and her friends may have crossed accidentally. In May 1972, a group of 4 girls were allegedly driving back to Southern Utah University after spending their Saturday night. They had to cross a desert, which came in between their destination. At around 10 p.m., they came upon a turn on the road, where they steered to the left and began driving through a black canyon. But suddenly, the black pavements started turning into white cement. Assuming that they have took a wrong turn, they headed back from where they came. But to their surprise, the desert has now disappeared, and they were driving past green grain fields. They decided to stop at a roadside tavern to ask for directions, but quickly changed their minds after they realized that they were being chased by 4 strange-looking vehicles with bright lights shining from top of them. The terrified girls sped back through the canyon, and saw the white cement again turning to normal black pavements, leading them to the familiar desert. After wrecking their car in a creek, they were left with only one tire, as 3 of them became flat. They waited until morning to ask for a lift to Highway 56, where they took help from a state trooper. While this whole story may sound childish, and looks hard to believe, their tire marks backed up their story. The only tire marks left by their car ended abruptly, covering only 200 meters into the desert. The mystery of how the girls ended up over 3 kilometers north of the main road, with no physical evidence of their travel, remains unsolved. At around 11 p.m. on November 9, 1986, a person named Pedro Ramirez was traveling from Seville, situated in Spain, to a nearby town. Being no stranger to this roadway, he was shocked when he allegedly went around a curve and found himself driving on an unfamiliar path, which was a 6-lane highway. He was surrounded by old structures and bizarre terrains. He felt a sensation of heat when he heard a voice telling him that he had just been teleported to another dimension. The cars around him looked outdated, and it appeared as if he was in the past. After about an hour of confused driving, Ramirez found a sign, which was pointing to Seville. He turned towards that sign, and after some time of driving, he realized that he finally reached his destination. But strangely, he found himself in the town where he wanted to go initially, and not in Seville. He tried to retrace his steps, but could not locate the crossroads again. According to Ramirez, the 6-lane road either disappeared, or maybe he was teleported to another dimension accidentally. On 16th of July, 2008, a 41-year-old woman, named Lorena Garcia, woke up to find small inconsistencies in her surroundings. She noticed that her bedsheet had different color, and the pajamas in which she slept has changed to a different set. She didn't give this a serious thought initially, and drove to her office. There, she realized that she was seeing strange people, who were different from whom she had known. But when she reached her cabin, she became assured that something was wrong. She saw a different name on the tag of her cabin. She checked through the office database, but everything else was matching exactly to her identity. She took the rest of the day off, and headed straight to the doctor's office. There, they ran tests on her, checking for signs of any drugs in her system. The tests came back negative. She had no alcohol or drugs in her system. Her own family thought that Lorena was going insane when she asked about her younger sister's shoulder operation. They looked at her with confusion, as Lorena insisted that her sister had recently gone under surgery on her shoulder, a claim that no one in her family could back up. As far as her family knew, there had been no surgeries done to any member of the family. Months passed, as Lorena began to discover small but unnerving differences in her life. She finally became convinced that she had simply just gone to bed one night, and awoke in a different universe. A world in which her life had been altered by small decisions of her past.